Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Gabin from Design Tribe, and today I'm here again with another Photoshop tutorial for you. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how I realized this design in Photoshop. I'm going to be breaking down this flyer step by step and show you every single thing that I did in realizing this flyer. So do stick around to the end. Show me some love by liking the video, and if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel because I produce these videos every single week. Let's get straight to it. So the first thing we want to do is to create our new project. So I'll just go to File, New, and for this particular project I want my width to be 2000 pixels and my height to be 2000 pixels and my resolution to be 300 pixels per inch. So I'm just going to click on OK, and automatically this is created. The next thing I want to do is to open up my file, my folder where I have the resources I'm going to be using for this design. And first thing I want to bring in is my colors that I'm going to be using. So I'll just drag this and drop somewhere here like this. These are the reference colors that I'm going to be using for this design. So first thing now is to create our background. I always begin with creating my background and making sure it is perfect before I begin to bring in um, the images, like the people that are going to be found in the flyer. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a solid color adjustment layer. So once I select the solid color adjustment layer, you see the blue was already selected, so automatically this blue is being applied to that solid color adjustment layer. The advantage of using a solid color adjustment layer over just creating a new layer like this and filling it with another color like this is that with a solid color adjustment layer, if you are later you are not happy with the color, all you need to do is just to double click on this solid color adjustment layer and you modify the color to whatever color you want. But with the other style of the other method of creating a layer and filling it with a color, you will always need to come and refill this with another color, and you can do that by pressing Alt and backspace if you want to paste it with if you want to fill it up with your foreground color, or Alt control backspace if you want to fill it with your background color. So, and equally you might equally decide to use your paint bucket to fill that color, but to me that is unnecessarily complicated, so I prefer just using my solid color adjustment layer. And once that solid color adjustment layer has been created like that, then I need to begin to include the other elements into my design. So I'll just go back to my folder, and the next thing I'm going to bring is this image. I'll drag this image and drop into my design, and for this image I just want it to be faint in the background. You don't want it to be so strong. So what I'm going to do for this particular image is just to go to soft light, and let's change the blend mode to soft light, and I'll reduce my opacity right down to I think about 16%, because I just want this image to be like some details in the background, not actually part of the design. So once I place that, I'm going to bring in another image from my folder, which is this. Just drag and drop, just expand this like this, and once that is positioned in the design, I'll also go to my blend modes, and I think I'll still use the same soft light, and I'll drop down the opacity to something like this. Now you may not actually see the impact that these elements are creating in the design, but as we move forward you are going to be seeing the impact. There are little changes that you can apply to your design that will make your design stand out. These are the little changes that really make your design to stand out. So once I've included that layer, I will now go again to my folder, and I'll drag this design, this other texture, and I'll apply it like this to my design. And I just want it to have some thin lines, so I might still use soft lights, and for this I will drop down the opacity to maybe 24. And now I'm going to add a layer mask to this. And the layer mask, what a layer mask does is that it hides a particular part of the design, as well as it reveals a particular part of the design. So the area that you want it to reveal, you paint white on that layer, and the area that you want it to hide, you paint black on that area. If you don't understand that, I have a video that I created for the mask for. If you don't understand that, I have a video that I created on layer mask, which you can watch on my channel. So for this, I'm going to use my brush tool and select black as my foreground color. Right click, I'll just increase the size of my brush to something like this. And in case you are not seeing the tip of your brush, turn off caps lock. Once you've turned off caps lock, you'll be able to see the tip of your brush like this. And now I'm just going to dab here to take it out of this particular area like this. And now I believe I'm set to begin to bring in the other elements into the design. Now let's look at the design we want to recreate. We want to recreate this design. So the first thing that I did, the first process I went through, was to create this the theme of the program. So I use several layers for that. So for that, I'm going to begin by using writing out the text. So this is a font I use, Burbank Big Condensed. That's it. So I'm going to switch my color to white, and I'll type understanding. Let me just increase my font size. That's it. Yeah, to about 48 points. So I'll just type in understanding like that, and I'll position it like that. I'll create a copy by pressing Ctrl Command J, and I'll move it down here. And for this, I'm going to type in capital letters the times, and I'll press Ctrl T, and I'll increase the size to something like this. Understanding the times. And at this point, I'm going to select both layers together, press Ctrl or Command T on my keyboard. I'm going to slightly rotate them to this position like this. I think to about 4 degrees, 4.7, or say 4 degrees. 4 degrees is okay. And once that is done, now the next thing I want to create is this clock by the side. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool for that. Once I select the ellipse tool, I will make sure my field is turned off, and my stroke is turned on, but I'll reduce the size of the stroke a little, and I'm going to modify it accordingly. So to create a perfect circle, you just need to hold shift and draw like this. So that is it. So once my circle is created like this, I'll just change this color. Let me use the bright yellow color for understanding. I may want to make it a little brighter, so select that, come to brightness, and increase the brightness like that. Okay, once that is done, I'm going to create the other parts of the clock. Like you see, the two hands of the clock. Create that using my rounded rectangle tool. So I'm just going to go back here, turn off the stroke, and turn on the fill color, and I'm going to create the hand of the clock like this. Okay, once that is done, I'll just move it up to this point, make sure it's at the center like this. And now I'm going to create a copy, Control or Command J, and then I'll press Control T on my keyboard to rotate. So I'll rotate it to this angle like this, and I'm going to reduce the size like that. I'll just move this up a little, and now I'm going to create a circle. Before doing that, always make sure you select a new layer so that you can come back later and modify the individual layers of the shape you're trying to design. So that's it. I'll make sure it's centered like that. Okay, once that is centered, now I'm going to make sure I cut this shape to fit together with the text, like you can see here. So how did I do that? First thing I did was I select this the circle like that. I create a clipping mask to it, not a clipping mask, sorry, a layer mask. Okay, once the layer mask is created, I will come to this text where we have understanding. I will hold Control or Command on my keyboard and click on it. Once I click on this thumbnail icon of that layer, it's going to make a selection of the text. And now what I'm going to do is I'll go to select, modify, and expand. And for that, I can increase it to 20 pixels. And once you click that, you see it has expanded your selection. And once that selection is done, I will now come to, think I want to increase this a little more. Let me expand this a little further, so let's say 10. Okay, it has expanded it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go back to the layer, this layer where I created the layer mask. I'll click on the layer mask and I'll fill that with black. Automatically it's going to cut out the selection, this part which I've selected from the design. And now for this bottom part, since the T and the H are not really having a nice curve below, I'm just going to use my rectangular marquee tool to make a selection below here like this. And once the selection is made, I'll go to this layer and I'll just fill it with black like that. And I'll move up here and I'll make sure everything is filled with black. And that is how I created this title. So once that is done, I will want to select everything in that or select all of the items together, and I'm going to create a group like this, and here I would write title or theme. Yeah, you always want to remain organized in the way you arrange your layers. I'll just select everything and position this. Okay, I'll take out the colors from that layer. Let me take this out. Okay, oops. Okay, it's now out. And next thing, I typed in the text, the scriptural reference, First Chronicles chapter 12 verse 32. So I'm just going to use my type tool. So I will create a copy of this because I want it to have the same angle like every other thing. I will change the font size here to Montserrat regular, and I'll reduce my font size down, and I'll type in First Chronicles. First Chronicles, I forgot it. Let me check. First Chronicles 12 verse 32. So I'll just select this again. First Chronicles 12 verse 32, like that. And I'll bring this to this point. I think I will want to make this bold, so I'll just give it say semi bold. Okay, and I position it here like that. And the next thing I will do is to create a line here, just a thin line like this, with the same yellow color which I've been using. Once that is created, I'm going to move it to this position like that. Control T, and I'll rotate it to this position, and I'll move it here to align with the text, the reference, the scriptural reference. And now I'm going to add a layer mask to that. Use my brush tool, make sure my foreground color is black, and I'll reduce the size of my brush like that. Make sure my hardness is turned down to 0, and I'll just dab here like this. Okay, and I want to bring this a little close to the text, and I'll paint out this other part like that. And I may want to drop the opacity a little, just so everything fits together. So Control T, I'll move everything like this. Oops, I'll still have to paint out this other part which is not part of the design. So here, just blend this out like that. Okay, if you are getting any value from the video up to this point, please do well to like the video, and if you are not yet subscribed, do well to support me by subscribing to my channel. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be importing the images that I'm going to be using for this design. So I'm going to first of all reduce the size of my theme like this. Think about this size and position it here, and I'll create the awesome 24. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool for that. I'll just hold shift and I draw like this, and I'll press Ctrl or Command J to create a copy, Ctrl C to transform, and I'll scale this up like this. Once that is scaled, this bigger layer, maybe I should move this to the side so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I'll select the bigger layer. I'll go to the shape properties. I will turn off the fill, turn on the stroke, and reduce the size of the stroke to say say 11 will do. And for that, I'll press Ctrl T while selecting on the shapes. Make sure you select on that shape and you press Ctrl T. Now you move it and fit over this one, and I will need to increase the size a little more and reposition it like this. Okay, once that is positioned like that, I'm going to add a layer mask to it, and I'll use my brush, increase the size of everything, and I'll bring down this, drop the size of my brush. I'll just dab on this area, dab here, like that. And now I'm going to type in awesome 24. So I'll create, I want everything to be within this title, so I'll select all these layers and drop within there, and I'm going to type in awesome 24. So I'll just click here. I'll use the same text I used for the title here, and increase this. And type in awesome 24, like that. Select, I want to use this blue from the background. Control T, move this here, position it here. And before we proceed, I'll italize all of this text. I'll just go to character, click on italiced. Here also I'm going to do same, select everything, italize, here italize, and here I'm going to italize that also, and I'm going to type in Academic School of Ministry here. So I'll increase the size of this a little more, and for typing that in, I'm going to create a line like this. And I'll just copy this same text that we have here. Just press Ctrl J. Now move this to this side, position it there, we'll click, change the color to this blue color, and bring it right to the top. I think somewhere up here. Okay, and I'll type in the full meaning of awesome, Academy School of Ministry, like that. And I'll move this to this point, Control T, I'll position it like this. I think I'm going to rotate this like that. I will rotate this also like that. Okay, so we are done with this part of the design. So it's time for us to bring in our speakers. So I'll just go back to my folder. This is the main speaker of the day of the program. So once I drag this image and drop into my design, I'm going to go to select subject, and I will allow Photoshop to do its magic. And once the selection is done, I'm going to mask it out, and I'll reposition this here, Control T, and going to position it here. Select this group and bring it down a little to this position like this, and reposition him here. Okay, so once he's positioned, I'm going to bring in the other two images. I'll bring this, position it here, behind him here, and I'll bring the other minister, position it him here. So select that layer, go to select subject. Once the selection is done, I'm going to mask him out like that, and I'll just bring him here, Control T, reduce the size. So here you want to make sure that the size of his face is same size as that of the other minister. So I'm going to reduce the size of his face a little, and I think that is okay. So this is where we now have a lot of work to do, because number one, looking at the various images, you will notice that this image has low resolution. It's not of good quality like all of these three images. If you have to allow these three images like this, your design is not going to look good. So this is where the real work begins, because we have to first of all make the images to look similar and also apply colors that will make it look like the three images were all taken in the same scene. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll just reposition them like that. Now I'm going to add some colors to the background, and for that I'm going to create, so I'll close this layer. Okay, I'll go right down to the background layer here, create another layer, and now I will select this bright yellow color here. I want to increase the brightness a little like that. I'll zoom out a little so I can really see my canvas well. So increase the size of my brush to something like this, and I'll just dab once like that. Okay, and now I'm going to select this other color, the orange color here, and I'm going to dab a little above like that. Don't want too much. I think this is okay. Now we can now dismiss our layer. We now have all the colors we need. So now the goal now is to blend their images with this background. So first thing I want to do is to adjust the colors on the main speaker, because if you look at this, the background here has a kind of yellow or orange tone, but on him we have a blue light cast here. So we want to first of all kill that blue color. So first thing I want to do is to create a curves adjustment layer, and I'm going to clip it on him so it affects just him. And I'll go to my curves and I'll select the blue curve, and I'm going to reduce the blue. When you do this, you are increasing the blue. To reduce the blue, I'm just going to pull down, and once you're reducing the blue, you're adding yellow, because yellow is the opposite of blue. So I'm just going to pull this down to this level, and I think that is okay. Now I'm going to enhance the image a little and make it a little stronger by selecting on the image, and I'll go to camera raw filter. Oops, sorry, I have clicked on the wrong effect. So just click on cancel, go to filter, camera raw filter, and under camera raw filter, my goal is to make sure the image looks better. So you first need to identify what is wrong with your image before you do any modifications. You don't just want to copy what I've done, but understand why I'm doing what. So here you will see that the image has some sort of it's a little noisy. So I want to take out the noise, make the image look a little stronger. So I will dehaze the image a little, and I'll add a little clarity, add some textures, and I'll go to sharpening. I'll sharpen the image like that, and then I'll go to noise reduction, because you can see there is some noise on the image. I will reduce the noise like that. I think to this point it is okay, and you now see the image already has a better look, but I'm going to sharpen it a little more like that. So at this point I'm just going to click on OK, and now you can now see how the image looks with respect to the other images. So in this particular design, our reference image is going to be this one. So any color grading we are going to be doing it regards to the color of this, because this one already looks better and is obviously of better quality than the other images. So as we've modified this, I think his face is a little dark, so I want to add some color, some brightness to his face. So I'll just go to curves, create a clipping mask again, just boost this up a little, and then double click on that, come to blend if, or split the slider and just move this down like this. So I think his face is now brighter. And now I'm going to color grade this other image to be in the same environment or in a similar environment like these other images. So I want to select this. Now I'm going to add a curves adjustment layer. And once the curves adjustment layer is added, I'm going to add a clipping mask. And what color am I going to be adding? Because his face looks a little bit neutral. So his face looks a little bit neutral, so we want to add some colors. So the first color I will want to add is yellow. So I'll go to the blue channel, and like I said, to reduce blue, when you reduce blue you are adding yellow. So I'm just going to reduce my blue a little. You now see yellow is already appearing on his face. And also I will go to my red channel, and I'm going to add some reds like that. So once the red is added, I'm going to add another layer again. I'll just add levels adjustment layer, and I'm going to clip it so it affects just this layer. And for the levels adjustment layer, I'm going to do some slight adjustments. Maybe I bring this down a little to brighten his face. Bring this a little. Now see, he's now almost looking like this other image here. So I will, okay, bring this down a little more. Okay, so I think they are now around the same environment, but I'm going to give him a little brightness on his face. But this image was retouched a little, so this has not been retouched, that's why it looks a little flat. So I'm just going to create curves and clip it. Then I'll just boost this up a little like that, and go to blend if, reduce this just to give him a little brightness. Now take out the brightness from the dark areas by splitting this and moving this like this. Okay, I think he's a little too bright. And that has affected the color of his shirt, his jacket. So I will want to go here, change my brush color to black, and I'll just paint on these areas so that the effects doesn't affect his outfit. We want that effect just on his face. So I just want to modify this like this. Oops, we need that on his hand. So I'll reduce the size of my brush, and I'll just modify this area like this. Okay, and I think that we are good to go. So at this point, now I'm going to be fading out the images like you can see here, so it blends properly with the background. So I'll just select this layer, go to the mask, and I'm going to increase, reduce, like zoom out like that, and increase the size of my brush like that. Make sure my brush is a soft brush, hardness 10 down to 0, and I'll just dab like that. Before doing that, I'll turn off the two layers in the background, and I'll just dab around him like this. Oops, I want to reduce the size of your brush a little. Just dab here like this, so he blends perfectly with the background. And for the background, I'm going to add some blue colors around this point So I'm going to create a new layer here. Now select this blue, make it a little dark, and increase the size. And I'll just dab here so that he blends into the blue color in that layer. So once I've done that, I will now enable this other image, use my brush, reduce the size, or just dab out like this. Then I'm going to select the other image, add a mask to this, and I'm going to dab here like that, so they all fit together. And now I'm going to adjust my theme, Control T, or bring it slightly up here to create space for the other elements that I'm going to add below. And I feel like I may want to modify the colors here, because this color doesn't really look bright enough for me. I need something a little more saturated, and I think that is okay. And I want to do same for this, just change like that. For this line also change like that, so they all have the same color. So I just select this other layer, switch the color like that. I think this other layer too, double click, and I'll switch the color like that. Okay, so at this point I'm going to be adding the other elements into the design. So I will go here, now bring in the logo of the organization, and I'll reduce it to the size, and I'll position it somewhere here like this, reduce the size. Okay, and change my color here to white, and I'll just do a stroke, small stroke here like this, and I'll go to text, my text tool, Montserrat. Now use Montserrat regular, reduce my font size to say 14, and I'll go back to character, make sure that I remove the italics from the text. Now type in Academy Fellowship Cameroon, and I'll select everything, hold my Alt key and press my down arrow to space up the, give some more line spacing, and I'm going to modify my font size to say 10. Now close this up a little, position it here, and I want to modify the size of everything, reduce that a little, that. Okay, then I'm going to create another shape here like this, Ctrl J, just position this here, take out the first line, come to the second line, I'll type in arrival, colon, thing is July when is that date again? July 13. Departure July 21st. Select everything, and I think I'll change my fonts to this, and I'll capitalize everything like that. Close it up a little more. Change the fonts to this instead and increase the spacing like that. Position it there like that. And now I'm going to be creating these other parts of the design. So I'm going to go to a new layer, use my rectangle tool, and just draw like this. Ctrl T, and now extend this a little. Now I'm going to add venue, date, and contacts. So I'll go to my round rectangle tool, change this color here to this orange that we have used. Sorry, before doing that, I'll undo. Before drawing that, I'll create a new layer, select my rounded rectangle tool, go to my fill and switch the color to that. And now I'm going to draw like this. Ctrl J, just create a copy. Now position it here. Ctrl J to create a copy, and I'll position it here. So I just want to adjust it like this and move this to this side like this, so everything is well aligned. So we have venue, date, and contact. So I'll type in venue, select it, go to Montserrat. I think I use Montserrat regular here. Not regular. Oops, let me type it again. Venue, select everything. I think let's make it semi-bold. Position it here. Ctrl J, move this to this point, take it above. That's venue, date. Dates. Ctrl J, move this to this top here. Now type in contact. And once I've typed in contact, I'll just adjust it to fit in the middle. And now I'm going to separate the boxes by using this. I'll select the blue color. I'll just come here and I'll draw a line like this. So position it there. Ctrl J. I'll bring it somewhere here like this. Position it here. Okay. Now I want to move this slightly to the left. Here. Now I'm just going to be adding the other text. So please, if you're getting any value from this video, do well to show me some love by hitting the like button, and if you've not subscribed, please do well to subscribe to my channel. So here I'm just going to type in the town where the program is going to be holding. Bafusam, select everything, and I'll go to, choose that font, increase the size to about, say, 16, and I make sure it's this blue in the background. J, position it here. Control J, position it here. So this is Bafusam. Here I typed the date 13th to the 21st. I'll just type 13 to 21st, like that. I'll select this, go to my character window and make this lowercase and superscript. Here, make it lowercase and superscript, like that. And then here I'll write the name of the school, GTHS bracket Canada, and I'll select my font, Montserrat Regular. Click here, make caps GTHS bracket Canada. Position it like that, and for that font I'm going to give it a black color, like that. Control J, move this to this point. I think the text is too stretched out, and here I'm going to type in July 2024, and I'll reduce the size. So if you are around Cameroon in July 2024, you are invited to attend this life-changing program. So I'll just modify this to these points in here. I'll take this out, Control J, just type in phone number plus bracket open plus 237 bracket close. For time's sake, I'll just type in random numbers. Thing that can take out this. Zoom this in. Control J, position this here, and I'll just modify this. So these are just random numbers. I'm doing this just for the sake of the tutorial. J. So once everything is positioned like that, the next thing I did was to add a little more details to my background, and then I go to the last stage, which is color grading. So I'm going to add ellipse here, turn off the fill, increase, go to my stroke, increase the size of my stroke to something like this, and make sure I go right down to where the background layer is found. Create a new layer, make sure my fill is white, and my my ellipse tool is selected. I'm just going to draw like this, and I think I will increase this a little more and position it somewhere here like this. Control J, bring it here, position it, bring it here, position it somewhere here like this, and I'm going to add a mask here. Use my brush tool and reduce the size of my brush like that. Turn on my caps lock, turn off my caps lock so I can see clearly. I'll just dab out that part, and for this other one, just create, can use this, just dab out this part, or instead I'll dab from above to this point, then drop the opacity a little, just like that. And here also I'll drop the opacity a little. Then I'll go to this background layer where we have this person worshiping, so I'll just increase the opacity a little more like that. And once that is done, I'm just going to add the social media handles of the organization. I'll just go here, Facebook, drag and drop, reduce the size, position it right down here. So I want to take this to the top, somewhere there. Control T, reduce the size, zoom in, and since the background is blue, I will want to change this color, so I'll use my paint bucket tool, and I'll select this yellow color here, and once I click here, I'll rasterize the layer. I'll click here to paint with yellow, and now I'll flip the color to white and paint here with white, and then I'll switch it again and pick the blue color in the background and paint here, and then I'll type with white the name of the organization's Facebook page, Academy Fellowship Cameroon, and I'll select everything like that. Go to regular, position it here, select everything, reduce the size like that, and I'll do the same thing for YouTube, for their YouTube channel. Drag and drop, reduce the size like that. I hope they are all the same size. You always want to make sure that they are all the same size. And for this one, I'm going to use my paint bucket again, rasterize the layer, and I'll pick this color from the background and fill this with it, or maybe I just fill it with white at once. Just fill this with white like that, and I'll pick the blue from the background and fill this layer with, oops, instead of doing that, I will first of all fill this with blue, then turn this to white, then the red part within this, oops, undo, within this red part I'll now fill it with white like that, and then bring this down, Control J to create a copy, select everything, now type in Fecam .cv, and I'll just reposition everything like that. And now we are now at the final stage where we will make everything look better. But if you look at this image, you see that he has some hard shadows around his the edges. So to solve that problem, I'm going to select this layer and I'm going to use my burn tool. This is it. So I'm going to use my burn tool, zoom in. Oh, sorry. I'm going to click here, rasterize the layer, and modify the size of the burn tool. And I'll just burn these edges a little to kill the highlights, just a little like that. And now I'll add a new layer. Now pick the same color from the background, which is bright, and use my brush, reduce the size of my brush, reduce the flow to about 33. Now just dab lightly like that. We don't want to do it too much. This is just to mask out the color, and mind you, while you do that, it affects the images behind, so I might want to use a white color for that. It's a white color, just dab like this. Yeah, that's just to make sure it's a little, it hides the highlights a little, so it shows like there was some light hitting him from behind. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to do general adjustments to the design. Select everything, group everything, Control J to create a copy, convert it to a smart object, and I will go to camera raw filter. And in camera raw filter, this is where I always do my final touches. I'm just going to warm up the design a little, and I don't want to touch this, just a little. So you don't want to do too much at this stage. Here is just to enhance your design, so just increase this. You don't want to do too much at this stage, if not you might end up ruining your design. So once that is done, now here, and I think I need these blues to be a little dark, so I'll go back again to my camera raw filter, and I'll come here to the blacks, drop my blacks a little more, and then go to hue, saturation, luminance. I'll go to my blues and I'll turn down my blues a little more like that. Yeah, so everything down here looks a little darker. Okay, that is it for this video. If you watched up to this point, I just want to say thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting me by liking and sharing this video. I'm going to be releasing many of such videos in the days ahead, so stay tuned to my channel. Thank you.